are so excited today. We have a walking history, a woman that is a trailblazer, and we focus heavily on giving people their flowers while they are here. We have Army veteran Miss Evelyn Pacheco, who is the first Black woman union plumber in the state of Nevada, period. And she is also the founder and president of Nevada Women in Trades. Evelyn, thank you so much for joining us on the She Served Sheroes podcast. First Black woman with a plumber's license in the state of Nevada, period.
True.
Thank you. True. Correct me.
Okay.
Por favor.
Okay.
Make it clear.
Okay.
I know I've only been here in Las Vegas for a couple of years. And when I got here, I've just seen you at different organizations. I've seen you out in the public. I've seen you working with women. I know that I've been told firsthand, if you have any women that want to get in trades, this is the person they have to speak to, period. And, we're always trying to overcome as women. And it's just so wonderful to see someone that is creating their own path and taking women with them to do something that people sometimes say women can't do. So thank you for all of the work that you are doing. And I like to start the interviews off all the way back to the beginning of our military journey. Are you a military brat, or what is your history? What made you join the military?
I'm not a military brat.
Okay.
And I joined the military when I was 20 because I wanted to make a change. I wanted to do something that was going to make a change. And then I just did it, right? I got in there, and I didn't learn until afterwards that I found out about my family history of my family being in the Civil War, the Korean War. And I found out in 2015, because my mom and my dad had their own issues, that he was an Air Force. He was in the Air Force in 1956, in Fort Luke, y'all. I was just like, wow. And his brother went in with them at that time, 1956. Like, wow, it was so beautiful. Then I found out my brother too was Coast Guards. So it was so beautiful to find out that it was in my blood, y'all.
Right?
It was in my blood.
Okay. So, how was your military experience, and how long did you serve?
I served for 6 years. I was a reservist, and so I loved it. I did. I thought it was like, wow, I'm doing this. I'm in here learning about how the military works, what they do, what they shoot, and all that good stuff, right? That was the fun part. It was something. It was just amazing to me, and I loved it. And then when I went home, and it was just different. It was just different.
Where's home for you?
And home is Minnesota. Okay. And it was just different. And I found out the reason why I didn't go full time was because I had got my high school equivalency. Okay. And I didn't know that you couldn't go in full time and be active like that if you had a high school equivalent, which I think they should change that. I don't understand that, but that's why I didn't go into there full time. But I would have did it. I did. I liked it. I liked the experience and everything. And when I went back, and and then every 2 weeks and all that kind of stuff, it just wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same vibe. It wasn't the same feeling, and it wasn't the same camaraderie. I don't know. It was just different, And so I did what I did, and then when I was done, I had my kids, and I just really didn't even think about it anymore until I came here to Vegas, and 5 years ago, Sergeant Dixie helped remind me that I was a veteran, because I
Yeah.
thought, well, veterans went to war. I thought all veterans went outside. I thought if you were stateside, you were not a veteran. So I never used any of my benefits. I didn't do anything. And I just went about my life, right? Kids, school. Then I went back to college and I did secretary and for my college. So like I said, when I came here, and Miss Sergeant Dixie, bless her heart, and Donna Lee remind me all the time, that I am a veteran and I can do these things. And so
Yeah. I love that because I'm one too. I did 4 years in the Air Force and it was something that I did. I enjoyed. I had several experiences. I was deployed during 9/11, but same when I got out, that was just it. It was just something that I had done before, nothing I really talked about. I didn't know that I was a veteran. I wasn't retired, so those things I didn't know either. And it wasn't for myself until I came upon a really hard time of life and like had nothing and nowhere to go, that a family member was like, girl, you are a veteran, you need to go out there and get some help, like people will help you, you're a veteran. And I'm like, I don't think so. And turns out I'm a veteran. Who knew? So I love that you say that because it's not just myself, it's not just you. There are a lot of women who served. They're not doing anything with their benefits whatsoever. They're not getting any help or support because they don't know. So, again, I really want this platform. We're here because we want to spread these journeys, spread knowledge, and empower other women of color so that they know, you did serve. Your service mattered. You are a veteran. And just like our counterparts that serve for a year and are entitled to everything in the world, we, as veteran women, are entitled to our benefits, and we just have a community that is there for us and that will support us specifically because we can relate to each other. We all signed the dotted line and made that sacrifice of time, right?
yeah,
To fight
right.
for our country.
And I just want to add too that we have women up in the prison that are veterans too, and I'm finding out nobody's doing anything, right? I think that's really harsh, and not just in the prison, but I'm sure there's some in the jails too. And I think that needs to be brought to the forefront of why we not, and I had to ask how many women were up there, and I got a number of 20, and I didn't, of course, my response was, well, what are we doing for them? And there was silence, right? And I'm like, well, they should know about all the things that are out here for them. And Sergeant Dixie has a book that's As We Were, and all of them should be having that book. So they haven't, I just don't understand, why the veteran women are being left out at everything. There's no housing for us. If there is shared housing, there's no separate housing for us. There's nothing here. And I'm just confused on why we being treated and forgotten is the word I am using, y'all. And because that's how I feel.
We, in our first season, we interviewed Marsha Martin, who's in Texas, and she has a nonprofit called You Are Still a Veteran. And she works specifically with veterans that are incarcerated, have been incarcerated, and have misconduct discharges to remind them you are still a veteran, and she helps fight for their rights. So like you said, before that, I hadn't heard anyone that was doing anything for our veterans that have incarcerations. And when we're talking about veteran statistics, generally we're talking about people that are enrolled in VA healthcare, and there's so many of our veteran women, minority women that are not even enrolled in healthcare, and we're not even part of the conversation. We're not part of the numbers. We're not part of the statistics. So there's no way that we can be part of the solution.
And we're not even invited to the table.
So we have to make sure that our voices are nice and loud and clear so that we are creating our space at the table and bringing our own table along with us.
I know that's right. Bring the tea, baby. Bring the tea. Yes.
So,
yes. And that's why I asked plus right now, it's very important. This year is election year. And one of my questions I asked to the mayor, assembly commissioners is that, so you have a roundtable, and do you have a veteran roundtable? Of course. I said, but what about a women veteran roundtable? Oh, well, that's the same. No, it's not. We got two different things going on, two different issues going on, right? Why is it that we got to be involved with the veteran? That's fine, but we should have a separate table.
Yes, absolutely. So, and talking about this, having a separate table and women standing out and what we're doing, I want to come back to you. So, after you got out the military, you didn't really know. In 2015, you came here, but I want to hear about how you got into trade, one, and then the journey to entrepreneurship.
So I moved here in 1999
Okay.
and with my kids. And I just want to say something that happened with my ex-husband that
Okay.
kind of changed a little bit for me, I think, of my route and how I'm doing things right now. And so he was not a very nice person, and I remember that's when I was leaving him. I finally made a decision that I was moving here to Vegas, and I wasn't taking him with me and all that stuff, right? And he kind of knew something was going on because the way I was acting. Well, the garbage man had came that day, and I had always have my big old bag, my green bag, with all your dog tags and all your stuff in it. And he waited to after the garbage man left and everything. He took my whole bag and threw it in the garbage. Yes. Yeah. So there went my dog tags. That went all my
Wow.
communication with all the women from Fort Jackson. That went
Mm.
my outfits. That went. And I think that kind of did something to me too. Like how could you be that mean to do something like that? And there was no way I was going to get it. People were like, oh, you should have called the garbage. Really? Call the garbage people and say what?
Right.
Right? And they dumped it in them big old landmines. Like, really? Like, no, that wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
But I want to start with that because
Okay.
that to me, I think, sent me on the journey, and it's probably why I'm fighting like I'm doing right now, and to making sure these women are heard and information is out there because of that what's happened to me. But we moved here in '99. Again, I moved here to do secretary work, which is not, business is what I had a degree in. And then in 2000, I end up working with Fitzgerald, which is now Mr. D's, and I ended up working in the engineering department. And forget even now that I at that time didn't even know that was the first Black woman working in an engineering department,
Wow.
and I didn't know I couldn't do that. And I kept saying to Gene Sagas, bless him, I love him because he's the one. He was like, no, you're gonna do this, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna I'm not gonna do this. And at the time, I still didn't talk about being a veteran because again, I didn't know that, right? Then I ended up getting into the Plumbers and Pipefitters Union, journeyed out in 2007, and DJ Don Johnson came up to me. He was my first year math instructor, and he said, I just want to tell you something, that you're the first Black woman to pass the plumber's test. And I was like, no way. You know what I mean? It's 2007. No way, right? And he's like, no, you did it. And he threw a big old party for us and my family. My kids came. It was so beautiful, And I just went, wow, I want to tell everybody, right? I want to be involved with other, women trade groups. And that's how I found out women in trades were in
Okay.
different states. And I found out that Chicago and Ohio were the first ones to start women in trades in that area. Of course, Midwest. Yay. Shout out to Midwest, y'all. And
Okay.
so then I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm going to have to go get information, right? I'm going to have to do this. And I went to Chicago, went to California and start talking about it. And I was like, no, Nevada needs to have a women in trades. We don't have
Awesome.
anything here, right? And then I came back and boom, DJ helped me get it together. We got a curriculum. It's 6-week curriculum. We put it together where we help the women get their OSHA, CPR, forklift awareness. We help them with taking the math test to get into the unions because that's the gatekeeping part, right? You don't pass that math test, you do not go any further than that. And so I thought it was very important for me to teach the women because I hear, well, you're not doing it for the men, but I'm a female,
Right.
I mean, I, I'm a female, y'all, so I'm gonna help the females,
Absolutely.
and I wish somebody would have been there in my corner when I was going through this and all of that too, right? So
Right.
I put it together and everything, and then in 2019 we had our first class, which was in house, And I want to give a shout out to 80 Guy Center on Washington and MOK, and Miss Tolan that believed in me, and Miss Willie that believed in me and let me have my first class over there. And it was like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, right? I'm really doing this. And then COVID hit, right? Right. And then everything starts spiraling because now you can't meet in person no more. Right.
Well, I still want
So
to rewind a bit because you went from secretary to an engineering and then journeyman. Like, how did we get there? How did we get there? And then you just say, and blah, blah, blah. And then I started my class, like, wait, pause. You got your you passed, and then you went out and did the work, researched, went to other states, came back to Nevada, and said, I'm implementing this here.
yes.
We have to rewind and sit in that a bit because that is a lot and that's powerful. It would have been one thing to say, you know what, I'm the first and I'm just going to work. But it sounds like quickly you were like, I have a responsibility and I'm not going to be the last.
Yes. And that's actually one of my, I did one interview and I said that. I might be the first, but I'm not going to be the last. And it was, oh gosh, Channel 13 did an interview way back with that. And that's exactly what I said to them, you know, like, yeah, because again, we're supposed to be reaching behind us, right? And bringing women with us. And then then I was told I couldn't do it. I shouldn't do it. I can't do it. Right. Men told me that. Right. And then I was raising my grandbaby, and it really had to have me sit with myself for a minute and like, okay, this is 2015. I am raising my grandbaby. She's 3 now, and I'm doing diapers, all of this kind of stuff, right? In my journey with her. And I'm like, what am I showing her that's going to be a Black woman? And I'm
Yes.
raising her, right?
Yes.
About leading, about being, not matter, because you're going to hear no all the time. And does it matter? Nope. Because you still got to move forward, right? And it really was like messing with me, right? Like they're telling me on one hand I can't do it, and then I'm sitting here, with my grandbaby and not working, had retired from the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union, and I was like, wait a minute, and I prayed to God too, and I said, what am I doing? I know you don't have me here just dealing with I love her, I do, but I know that was not my purpose. And I prayed to God. I said, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Help me. And that's how Nevada Women in Trades. So
That
that's
is
the part.
That's awesome. And another thing I want to touch on when you said you're raising your granddaughter, I actually saw you one night. We both received recognition from Yvette Weigeld, who I just love so much, over at the Air National Base, Guard Base. And you had your grandbabies with you then. And you said that day that you had been to different meetings, different places, and that they were with you, and that you want them seeing the work that you're doing as they're growing up, understanding the rooms that you're in, seeing, the fight aspect and the honor aspect, right? All that can happen in a day. And my partner and I, we talk about that all the time. We have young girls that we're raising, and we want them to see the work that we're doing, not just school education, but we want you to understand the grind that women, and especially I'm going to say Black women, put in juggling so many hats, and they should be exposed to that. And so when I heard you say that day, it just melted my heart because I'm like, I love this lady. Like,
Thank you.
I love this.
Yeah, it is because to me that's a motivation for me, and plus, it helps me to calm down sometimes when I want to go 0 to 100 real quick, right? And they're there, and I'm like, okay, all right, I got to do this different now, right? I gotta think about this, right?
Right.
And that's the part though. But I love it because when I submitted my bill this last year in legislation, they went with me up there to legislation, and they walked around with me. They talked about Nevada Women in Trades, and we
That's
took
awesome.
pictures, and I showed them that, look, you can even be a lobbyist. Look at this right here, right?
Exactly.
You can even do this. And they were like, no, really? I'm like, yeah. And then when they sat there next to me, and I'm gonna send you the picture of me testifying to the Senate and they got a chance to speak and
Mm,
testify, I just, oh my gosh.
that's
Oh
awesome.
my gosh, that was so powerful,
Yeah.
right? And I told him, I know you get mad at me. I'm dragging you here. I'm doing this. And you be like, oh, yeah, yeah, come on. And I said, but I'm telling you, in a few years from now, you're going to be so grateful. And you know, that my Yaya carried me around. She sent me here. And it is, though. It's so powerful.
Yeah, it is. So you're a role model to the young ones all the way up to the women in trade. So you started your program. So
Mhm.
it's a 6-week course, and you help women basically get prepared in every aspect that they need to pass the test.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And
yes, we help them with the math test, right? That's why it's so long, because I'm not trying to take away from women in their smarts, but women seem to have a little bit more harder time with the math, with because again, to me, and I say if you're not doing it, you lose it, and that's like with the language, right? And, I took French in ninth grade, and I'm gonna tell you, I can't remember any of it really on what I did because I didn't do it constantly, right? It
right.
wasn't a constant. Um, and this is only sixth grade math,
Mm.
but being, they bring it back to them fractions and they bring it back to times them and multiply them and doing all that. And it doesn't stay in the brain like that. And that's why it's that long, because we really wanted to make sure that they got it right. Really wanted to make sure that and we grade them too, right? It's not like you come in there. I mean, this is actually a course. We grade them. We go and take them to. I got 5 partners, and I go take me. See how I want to see what the laborers are doing. I want to see about the plumbing, what they do. I want to see what the sprinkler fitters do. I want to you just want you ask questions to that union too, right? Maybe you might got some questions. And there you go. Perfect time, right? You can ask that director, what are they doing, or all of this. And I think that's a perfect space to help them to understand and to get it, right? So
So when women join the program, do they need to know what career they want specifically, or do they just need to have an interest in trades, or how does it work?
when I talk to these women, I want them to pick that. I say that all the time, because like, oh, what do you think? I said, no, it's not about what I think, because this is a career,
Right,
not a job. No
right.
pun on McDonald's, y'all, but we ain't doing McDonald's, we ain't doing Walgreens, we ain't doing Arby's. We are doing a blue collar trade, and you need to like it, because most of the apprenticeships are 3 years. Some are 5. Mine was 5 years. And that means you got to be on time. You got to go every day. Sometimes you work 6 days a week. Sometimes you work 10 6-day hours. There's a lot. And then you go to school on top of it. And you got to get good grades in there too. So 2 separate things, right? I mean, you might have worked all day for I don't know how many hours, and you got to turn around and go to school. Oh my gosh.
Mm,
And then you got to do with your family. Then you got to do with the kids. Then you got to, you know what I mean? It was 5 years. It's a commitment.
right.
It really is.
But
Yeah.
it's also a lifelong career that can take care of you for the rest of your life.
And with benefits. That is the part. And you get a take home, you can get up to 100,000 a year. Easy if you're doing overtime and all that. But on the check is that money. But they don't tell you about the benefits that comes with that, right? That's still a whole nother hundred and something dollars with benefits. And I got a college degree out of it. So I got another degree in pipe fitting because it goes to accredited for CSN.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So in 2015, we started. You were talking about how the pandemic affected your business. Because
Mhm.
at that point, we couldn't meet in person. And again, we're talking about trades. That's physical. That's not something we're typing on the computer.
too funny.
Can't fit pipe, pressing T and X.
No, it doesn't work like that. No, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that at all. And it's really something. So my my team was like, "What are we gonna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know either." Right? And my board member Dr. Sandra Cosgrove, bless her, she's such something else too. And she's like, "Well, you're gonna have to do it online." And I'm like, "Hell no, I ain't doing it online." I said, "You know how much work you have to input to go from paper to computer?" And I was fighting them. I swear. I was like, "No, I ain't doing it." They're like, "This is the only way you're going to survive." And I broke down and we did it. And I'm so glad that I listened to her, because look where I'm at now. Because it was so hard to get a space, right? Nobody was giving me a space. Everybody kept giving me the reasons why they couldn't give me a space, and I had to pay rent. I'm like, how can I pay rent if I ain't got no money, right? I ain't got no money. And even to this day, it's not like that. I have my team that volunteers so much. I use my own money, and I shouldn't have to do that this far in the game, right? Almost 6 years. That should not be happening right now at all. I should have people making sure we have space. There should be organizations making sure that we can get the women boots, to make sure my team gets paid to be instructors, make sure I can help with gas when I got to go pick these females up to go do interviews and things like that, right? I mean, all of that shouldn't even be, but it is. And I'm still using my own money, and I shouldn't have to be doing that right now. I mean, and I've already proven that it works. We got what, 5 women in 5 different trades. And
Okay,
I
so tell
worked
us
on
more
that.
about that, please.
Yeah, that right there in itself should be like, oh, okay, right? So
Right.
being I'm a plumber, pipe fitter, then it goes back to what you said originally. Does the female pick? And yes, because again, she has to like the trade. I am not going to tell her, because I'm a plumber. Oh, you all got to do plumbing. What if they don't do well? What if they don't like it? You know what I mean? Like, it's about choice. And that's one of the big problems right now. They're not giving us choices, right? They're trying to tell us what we're supposed to do right now. And no, I have to give her the choice. And it just worked out that we have a 4th year. She was in my first class that was in person, and she is now a 4th year apprentice for IBW, and I can't wait for her to journey out. I'm just so stoked about that, right?
That's
I have a
awesome.
4th year. She's a carpenter. Wow, that's something else too, right? And that means I'm doing something, something, something,
Absolutely.
something,
Right.
something, something. And she was in our online class, right? And then we got the 525, and she's a welder, and she's doing, oh my gosh, she loves welding, and it was a perfect spot for her, right? She likes welding. And so now she's a 2nd-year apprentice. Then we have a 1st-year apprentice in the sprinkler fitters, and then the last but not least, in Navy reservist,
Oh,
mind you, she's
okay.
getting ready to be an operator's engineer. And I have another lady that we helped with getting her. We don't do CDL, but anything that's trades or anything, I don't be like, oh no, I can't help you because you're not. No, that's no, we can't do that either. And I have a lady that just got her CDL license, and she sends me texts of her driving that big old truck. I was like, girl, you got more balls than me, because no.
That's awesome.
So those are the women. And then not only that, we have women that got into flagging. We have other women. We had other women that have taken the tests and have not passed because
Right.
they missed it by 1 point. So there's women that did other things, but the success stories are those, and it's just beautiful. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, I did that. I did that.
Right. It's
You know.
absolutely amazing. So how does someone reach out to you, get in touch with you? And then what are the different type of trades that women can go into? If someone didn't know, like, what you're saying sounds interesting, but what are my options? Well, you know what I mean? What would you say?
I would say that you can do whatever you want to, but you have to do what your heart. And I also tell them too, have like 3 choices, right? Because the first one might not work, the second one might not work. And so make sure you got 3 choices, and then take the test in all the trades, right? So if
Okay.
this one doesn't work, well, then this one works, right? If that one don't work, then that don't work. And I tell the ladies that too, because you got to have choices, you know.
So is that the
And
start? You start with the tests?
I start with a pre-test
I mean,
that
right,
tells
for the
me
women,
how
right.
you're
You
doing.
prep
Yeah,
them.
a
Mhm.
pre-test, and then we get into the program if you're accepted, right? and
Okay.
and then we do the math and do that, and in between, like I said, we go to different facilities so they can see what they like, right? And we talk about that, and to see what they like, because again, you have to like it. You can't just say, oh, I want to do that, because a lot of women say, oh, well, what makes the most money? Well, elevators make the most money, but that's some work right there, right? You got to be pretty
Mm,
much, they want you to have engineer background and all this other things, right? So I kind of like talk to the women, and fit in the areas that they can do. But there's like 16 trades out here,
okay.
you know,
Got it.
and most, a good, like I said, percentage of them want you to take a math test to get into all of them. And
Okay.
so that's why I'm open to, when we do this curriculum, it's about all trades.
Okay.
It's not about, again, because I'm a pipe fitter, plumber. That no, we can't do that.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of cool though, you know, that they get to pick. And then they get, and then then it's funny because through like a partial wave, you see the light bulb goes off, right? On what, and they get like, oh yeah, I want to do this, and then you can see them. Oh, it's so beautiful to see that, and that they go for what they want, and they're succeeding too,
Yeah.
you know. And to be, and for me, I mean, a 4th year, I got 2 4th years. I mean, that's pretty damn good right there. And
Absolutely.
even with the 2nd years, and even the 1st years, and all of that, that's still pretty damn good, you know.
Absolutely.
And then when I get the, oh well, I won't say what organization did that to me, but they said, oh well, we already do that, so we don't need to do work with you. And I'm like, excuse you? I said, if you're already doing it, then how many women have you got into the union? And
Hmm.
that's why I lead that conversation with. And then you get, of course, you know, you get the quiet thing, right? Because now, what are you going to say? You can't say that. And I want to know how many unions you're working with too. That's the other part I want to know.
Right.
And then they get quiet again. Like, again, I won't say what organizations were, but I just think that's wrong to even say that to me. Like, to say that I'm not, I can't be on their level because I'm not a school. But then to get your program to become a school, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to make yourself a school. And I think I should be accepted anyways. You know, I'm doing the work,
Right.
proving I can do the work, you know,
Right.
and you're still telling me, oh no, that's still not good enough. We still need you to jump over this fence. Like, okay, how many? Then finally I realized, no, no, with Tony Giddens, she's the apprenticeship director. There was a male there, and she replaced him, and it was kind of nice because I didn't know how this was going to work. And she's so, oh my gosh, she is something. She even helped testify for my bill that I put in legislation, AB 305, if y'all don't
Thank
know what
you.
the bill is.
Can you
And the
tell us more about
bill
your bill?
the bill and the reason why I tried to do it the session before this one with Assemblywoman Torres, but she got me on the floor, right? She really did. I love me some Assemblywoman Torres too. She got me on the floor, but then they threw it out and said, that's a building trades issue. That's not helping women get, that's not our issue. And I'm like, okay. So then the following last session, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, right? And believe me, I don't know how to do this, but I started asking questions like, how do we submit it? How do we do this? How do you talk? How do you that? Because it was a bill already that was done a few years ago, but the percentage was too high, and that's why they kicked it out. So
Mhm.
I knew 25% was too high. I knew that already. So I'm like, okay, and the feds say 10% are supposed to be women on Fed jobs. Well, state of Nevada doesn't have a lot of Fed jobs, and you even know that. We don't, right? Everything's state. Their only Fed jobs will be the schools. And how many schools do Las Vegas build? Let's really start talking about that, right? We already got a problem in that area right now that we don't have enough schools. So, and I'm like, well, that's not going to work. So I cut it in half,
Mhm.
and Then I went to a veteran women roundtable with Senator Spearman was there, and Assemblywoman Danielle Monroe and Assemblywoman Considine was there, and I remember Torres and Assemblywoman Thomas was there, and they were like, oh, we have so many women in the legislation and woo woo woo, and then I stood up and said, well, since you have so many women, then you will help me with this women bill, right? That's how
Yes.
I did it to them, right? And so then I just sat there and everything. They were like, okay, Evelyn, you're good now. Because now I'm bringing attention that you're saying you have so many women, then you should have no problem with helping me with this. And then I walked out, and then Danielle grabbed me and Constantine, all of them grabbed me, and they're like, yeah, let's do this. And that's how I got started. So I ended up having 4 women carry the bill, which was so beautiful. And then everybody else had to get involved, right? Because you can't be any of the trades and say, oh, that's not a good bill and I don't want to help women, right? You
Right.
can't do that, because now you're gonna be looked at. But we had some opposition. We did.
Okay.
And so the bill was to help I put it as minority women and veteran women to get in the trades by 2026. I wanted 5% is
Okay.
what I want. And they brought it down to 2%. I had a fit because I thought, well, 2% ain't nothing, and 5% isn't nothing either. And they were like, Evelyn, you gotta get your toe in the door, and da, da, da. And I went, okay, okay, okay. So we start working on it again to get everybody together, and it passed in assembly and it passed in the Senate 80%. 80% in both houses. That means,
Congratulations.
yeah, man, me and the grandbaby was doing some advocacy up there, man. We were going to every assembly, every senator. Then on the 10th day, it got vetoed on the 10th day. That was the
What?
last day for anything to pass. And
Mm.
the governor said that women don't want to get into trades. And that's what the opposition said too. They said the same thing. And I thought, that doesn't even make sense, right? And so that's what happened. Yeah, I was so upset. I was,
But I
oh,
love your tenacity. You said, I didn't know anything about pushing the bill, but you did. And now you do, and so now you kind of know how to go back and what that journey is like. So
yes.
again, just this constant trailblazer spirit that you have, even if you are the person that is on knocking on these closed doors, you're also the person that's cracking them open. So it's like just that alone, it's huge. It's huge. And you're strong enough, tough enough, smart enough, all of the things to be able to handle it. And you handle it gracefully and beautifully.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that's the part about us too, and I noticed, because you get that, you're like, wait a minute, I can't do this. Wait a minute, I can't do this. And as Dr. Sandra Roberts said, Evelyn, just grab my hand and jump off the cliff, right? You're gonna bump your head, we're gonna hit some walls, but you're gonna land on your feet and it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the hard part, the hitting the walls and the bumping it and the whooping, right? That's the part. But I think this is beautiful. I think God gave me this, and I know this is my mission. And also, I want to give a shout out to North Las Vegas jails too, Jaria Williams and Pamela Goins, the mayor. Then was the councilwoman who gave me my first plaque of being the first Black woman to get a plumber's license in the state of Nevada. She
That's
did
awesome.
that, and that was so beautiful. And now they're letting me be a mentor in the North Las Vegas jail to talk to these women in there. And oh my goodness, that's not humbling. And I got a call last Friday from one of the women that I was mentoring, and I'm telling you, talking about crying, y'all. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she called me, because think about it, they're going through a lot, and she could have called anybody when she got out of jail. She didn't have to call me. And it's just been, oh my goodness. And that again, snaps me out of it, right? Okay, okay, okay. I know why I'm doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now you have everything. You can teach your classes virtually online. You're
Yes.
also providing services in jail. as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
And then how can people reach out to you? How could someone connect with you? If there's a woman in Nevada that's interested in learning about trades, what's the first step?
And I want to add too, we have a summit every year called National Lines of Women, is to bring information to the community and to help with the women, so we get it out here that there's actually a women in trades, and actually it is non-traditional careers. And so we do it every September. We have partners with Department of Transportation, we have partnership with Culinary Academy, we have partnership with the mining, we have partnership with MGM and Enterprise Car Rental. We have partnership because they do mechanical work. So we have partnership with them too. And so I just want everybody to know about that too, that that's part of what we're doing out here. And you can get a hold of Nevada Women in Trades, and our website is www.nevada, spelled out, WIT.org. So that's Nevada Wit for our website. And you go on there, you see all the pictures, all the things, all the classes, and people we've met along the way, and things like that. And our partners are on there. And if you want to send information about, say, hey, what you doing and what's going on? And so that's info at Nevada, spelled out, WIT.org. So info at nevadawit.org. And if you do that, ladies, that'll be good, because then I can keep you up on when we start our next class in October. The next class we're starting is in October. It's like usually like the middle of it, but I'll start sending out things in September to let her, hey, we're getting ready to do this. You want to come fill out an application, because you got to do it in person. You can't do it online. And you come fill out your application and we get you ready, right, for this tremendous change. And this change will not only change you, but it's going to change your whole family's life, right? Your kids are gonna be like, wow, I get to go do this. I'm going over here to do that. And it teaches them to be independent too.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And what about Nevada Women in Trade wanted to support Nevada Women in Trade? What is it that, what's next for Nevada Women in Trade, and how can someone support what you're doing?
They can do both at the emails, and then my phone number is 702-801-6591. And call me. And I do answer my phone, y'all. I do answer, because I get that all the time. Wow, you even answered the phone, and wow, you even called me back, and it wasn't a recording, and I'm like, yeah. And I tell them, for now, yes, you do get this. Maybe about another 10 years, you might not get, an associate or something. But right now, yeah, we're keeping up with them. We're making sure, that they get support, because construction is hard, and you feel like you are out there by yourself. And I want to make sure these women know that they got support and somebody's there for them, fighting for them. And,
Yes.
because sometimes you just want to vent, right? You want to call them and be like, oh my gosh, I can't stand it. Okay, no problem. No problem. Because we all need to vent.
Absolutely. And all need to be heard. And, sometimes what we're venting, it helps, because we learn, we can talk it out, and usually we come away with some resolution. So it's good to get it out and be heard and get a good sounding board. And again, if someone is venting to you specifically, they're going to get good advice and be redirected on how to keep pushing forward. And sometimes we just need that, someone to tell us to keep
Thank
going.
you. Thank you. Thank you. That's the and just and that's what I'm saying. Is sometimes, right? They don't want you to respond. They just want to tell you, hey, what do you, I'm doing this and da 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 da. And what do you think? Or how do you, and it's something, because you want to give them right information. Do and I did every day, because you never know, you might need to go back to that. If somebody says, oh, you didn't put that in, or I didn't talk to you, or you did this, and hey, you go back to your book, right? And you see, oh, well, yeah, this is what I did. This is how much pipe I put in, So it helps with that. And it also helps to be with women around like you, right? To because again, we feel like we're up there by ourselves. We feel, I mean, sometimes I do, right? And to know that there's other women out here that actually can help us and be better allies, and that's the other part, right? Not all of us are allies too, but when we get them, man, we better cling to them.
For friends, it's like we have life, and offline, you and I were talking about a Shero, Lena King, that recently battalion, and we were saying, what, we should have known more about her. And that's again why this platform and this podcast is here, is because we want to recognize people who are out here doing the work when it's happening, right?
Yes,
We want
yes,
people like yourself to be
yes,
recognized and spread now while you're doing the
yes.
work. We don't want to be saying 50 years ago, Evelyn Pacheco was the first. No, let's celebrate now.
Yeah, yeah, we're good at that one. Yeah, because I wish I would have known about her. You know what I mean? We could have went and visited her, and then her family, right? Her family, and we still can't. I mean, with her family, hopefully her family will be able to tell us some stories and
Yeah.
and connect with us and maybe some pictures or I don't know. It's just I don't want her family to think that we forgot about her because we didn't. We just didn't know, and so I think that needs to be especially in Nevada, we need to put all these queens, I call them queens,
Yeah.
on their thrones and let them stay there and recognize those queens,
Absolutely.
because and I'm going to say this, being a black woman going through life is hard in itself. Being a woman is hard, but being a black woman, there's a lot that we go through. Oh, and then one other point, I'm the first black woman, first woman to make commander of my post 51, American Legion 51.
Okay. Congratulations for that as too. Yes, we want to hear all the acknowledgments. And because when we post this podcast, we want to list everything, all of the accomplishments.
Yes, 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 yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And just overall and I love that sign, because it's the truth. She believed she could, so she did. You have
Mm,
to
mm.
believe in yourself, and then you can. Like I said, that's what I love about your story that you're sharing. I appreciate your transparency and how much you're sharing. But, a lot of times it seems like you have just put yourself out there. You put yourself out there, and then you did it.
Yes.
And a
Yes.
lot of us are
Yeah.
scared to put ourselves out there.
Yes. And I was just talking about that today, how it's hard, again, you're standing out here and you're jumping and you don't know where you're going to land at, but you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And that it should be happening. And sometimes we have to take the lead and danger till we get others to be with us and to do things. And it is. It's hard to make that leap, but when we do it, we're like, okay, all right. But then we gather others, right, to come with us, and it's just hard. It's hard. And
Yeah.
Shirley Chisholm, that's another woman that I would love to start talking about.
Yeah.
She was a military, but she was the first black woman to run for president.
Yeah. Absolutely. We should definitely be
That's
amplifying
a
her
big
name.
move right there.
Huge.
Holy, holy.
And in that time as well.
Oh yeah, 1972. Wow. That was a wow. And I didn't even know about it, right? And I had Dr. Sandra Cosgrove, again, she's a history major, and she was bringing that up. She did a little thing a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, I want to see what she's talking about. That was so inspiring for me. I
Mm,
was like, wow, we need to talk about her.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we are so glad to be aligned with you, and we hope to hear more from you in the She Serve Sheroes community. We want to, make sure we're guiding women towards you, and we want to stay in touch with what you're doing so that we can support you any way that we can. And we want to make sure that we're amplifying and spreading the word so that others can hear and support as well. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Evelyn, before we wrap up this evening?
I just want to thank you, Queen, for doing this and for the recognition. And a lot of us don't think we're not worthy again of the recognition and all the things we do. And everybody thinks you're supposed to be shouting from the mountaintop every time you do something. But I'm military, y'all. I ain't shouting at nothing. You ain't finna see me coming. In the military, they teach us don't be loud because you get knocked out when you do that, right? Taking off and that's just my style. I do something, I work on it, and then I tell you, and I bring others in. But I don't think we need to be screaming and yelling about what we're doing. I think we just need to be doing things and be successful, and then bring others in. And so thank you for what you're doing for me, because it reminds me of certain things that I forgot about, that I was, working on and doing. And I was like, wow, yeah, I did do that.
And you never know who's watching. You know what I mean? Like I said,
Yeah.
I've seen you out with your grandchildren, being honored, and just you're saying something in passing about how, that you're consciously doing this and letting them see you out and the way that affects you. Like I said, we haven't gotten to interact directly a lot, but I've watched
Mhm.
you and I'm very, very honored and proud of the work you're doing. And like I said, when I saw you walk in, I'm like, please come be on our podcast, sis. I want the people to know what you are doing.
And I'm honored, and no problem. Anytime I can help you out with anything. You want me to speak to anybody? I do that too. I go speak because I think it's important that we do that too.
Yeah,
We have to. We have to.
absolutely.
So thank you again for this. I appreciate you. Woo,
Yes.
empowerment, y'all.
Thank you. Yes, we will stay in touch. I will see you soon. And thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.